everybody, it's Brian.
And we're back today, and we're going to be talking about this case between Charlamagne Tha God and Jessica Reed. It's on the blogs, and people are talking about it. Just wanted to know the question that we're going to post in this video, and we want you guys to leave a comment below is, should Charlamagne be fired? Alright, do you want to jump into the case?
Well, I mean, I guess what I know of it is, I don't know his complete real name. It's Lenard something,
It's
right?
Lenard Larry McClevey or something like that.
Lenard, or Charlamagne Tha God, I guess.
Yeah.
There was an incident back in 2001 where he was hosting a party for his cousin, and there were some underage folks there, some underage girls in attendance, and some alcohol involved, and he ended up being accused of rape of a 15-year-old.
Right. Alleged rape.
So let that sink in for a minute. I guess there's been a couple different versions of his story that we've heard, you know, since the case has come back out. I mean, it was 17 years ago, so I mean, there's been some time that has passed, but he was 22 at the time.
Reportedly, he was 22 and she was 15, and it was a high school party.
Stop right there.
Right.
He was 22 and she was 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how the story goes. Reportedly, it was a high school party. Now, this is from his mouth, words he said when he was speaking with DJ Academics back in 2013. He said that he threw his cousin a graduation party. Now, his cousin, mind you, was in high school at the time. So, you already know that the people that was going to be at this party was going to be mainly high schoolers, because it was a high school graduation party. So, like my husband said, there's alcohol involved, allegedly, and that was the first crime, was him being an adult taking alcohol to a high school graduation party. But as the story goes, he allegedly gave, well, now she did an interview with Star, and you know, if you don't know the story on Star, you might have to Google it, but he's a shock jock that was on radio with Hot 97 before he's made some comments that got him fired off the show. So, you know, now I guess he's still doing some stuff behind the scenes to shock people. So he came out with an interview with Jessica Reed, and she said on his podcast show, I don't know if it was a podcast, but she said then that her and Charlamagne was supposedly friends. Now, I don't know why he would be friends with a 15-year-old, but they were friends, and that he picked her and her friend up to go to this said party.
I don't like none of how it sounds. I don't like how it feels. The couple of interviews that we watched, even like the one that he did with Academics, and then he came back 2 years later. He did one with Academics in 2013, where he basically kind of denies his involvement with her. He acknowledges that this alleged thing happened at the party that he hosted, but he kind of minimizes his role in it. And he confesses that, you know, he pled out basically to a lesser charge of delinquency, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, like for supplying the alcohol or whatever. But he was like, well, all the other charges were dismissed, and he did some probation, right? First of all, probation always sounds a little strong. If it was just delinquency of a minor, they would have let you walk, basically. Like your first offense and the ages and his cousins being involved, and he was giving them a party. I don't think you do 5-6 months or whatever it was in probation that he did.
3 years probation off of it.
3 years probation. But I mean, things are, you know, I don't have a real experience with the criminal justice system like to that level, so I don't know, maybe he did. But that was the first thing that struck me. Like, well, that seemed like a lot of probation, but
right.
you know, we have those kind of problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to go on, like 2 years later, the interview that he did with on his own podcast,
Brilliant Idiots,
The Brilliant Idiots, which is Charlamagne's podcast, he recants the story. I mean, he retells the story then, but it's kind of different. Like, then when he tells the story, he's admitting to being with the girl. He's admitting to having sex with the girl. He's admitting to waking up with her and her being incoherent.
Now, the only thing that we really can't put the two together is when we were listening to the 2013 interview and the 2015 interview, we're not sure that he's talking about the same case. However, they was doing, on The Brilliant Idiots, they were doing a whole rape culture, the culture of rape sort of show. So he mentioned that he was giving he gave a woman Spanish fly in her drink because he said he was just freaky like that. And he said that when the woman woke up, or she was incoherent, that she was kind of drunk, so she knew kind of what was going on. She was just drunk, and she was just out of
blackout drunk.
Blackout drunk.
Blackout drunk.
And when she woke up, like as if she didn't know what was going on, she asked him, well, what happened last night? And then out of his own mouth, he said, we had sex. And then she said, well, I'm glad it was just you.
Hold up again. Everything I've been taught in all these years I've been connected to the military and all this stuff, like the way they train us is if you're in a situation like that, that's a no. Right. That's a flat out no. Yeah. I don't care what you thinking was leading up to it. I don't care what signs was given. I don't care any of that. That was a flat out no.
Right.
And he's admitting this.
Yeah.
No less than 3 years ago on his own podcast, which is different than the interview he's done before and the things that he said he's done before. Right. So I don't know if he thought he was in a place where everything had kind of glossed over and you know, all was forgiven, but I think this Me Too moment has caught back up with Charlamagne, and like I said, everything about it feels wrong to me. Everything about the whole situation feels wrong to me. Now, 22 years old, she's 15. Ugh.
Disgusting. Like, what would you want with a child? She's basically a child. She said he knew her age, and he knew she was still in high school. So it wasn't like she lied about her age, or he didn't know she looked older than what she really is. She knew, and he knew, that she was only a 15-year-old girl, and she met his mom.
And he met hers too.
Right. Right. So
according to the way they tell the story.
According to the story. I mean, if you want to listen to it, if you hadn't Googled the information that we're talking about, listen to the interview she had with Star. Listen to the interview that he had back in 2013 with DJ Academics. It's laying it all out to you. He denied it back then, but then his 2015 podcast said something totally different. Like he said he gave a woman Spanish fly in her drink. And, I mean, he just said that she was incoherent. She was just basically, I mean, just the way it sounded, kind of sounded weird and disgusting and just nasty. He was laughing about it like it was a joke to him. But it's really not a joke. It's nothing to laugh about.
I had two things. First thing was the fact that now, like, during her interview, what's the young lady's name again?
Jessica Reed.
Jessica's interview with Star, she's saying, you know, basically, because this happened when she was a minor, she never really had any closure with it. Like her mom and her family members basically sheltered her from having to deal with this as a crisis at that age. Her mom represented her to the authorities and said that she wasn't going to be, you know, cooperating. She wasn't going to be doing interviews and testifying and going to court and all of that. They sheltered her from that. They moved her away. Ironically enough, we live in South Carolina where there's no statute of limitations on rape of that kind. So here we are umpteen years later.
Which she wants the case reopened, which she should have the case reopened. She should. I would say that.
Well, she did say, like, I mean, I guess with the civil case, the civil charges, the statute of limitations has run out with that.
6 years.
It's only 6 years, but criminally, she still has an avenue to address the situation. So I don't know. I think that's what maybe she's pushing for. Like I said, all of these charges and all of these things are alleged. We don't know what happened. It just gives me personally a bad feel in this culture. And then the other thing was, you know, you mentioned Spanish Fly. You know, Bill Cosby has old comedy routines where he's talking about giving women Spanish Fly.
And the thing is,
I thought that was kind of like creepy. Like,
it
okay,
creepy.
I mean, the fact that they two have that thing in common.
But he's the biggest critic of Bill Cosby. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of the things that he said about Bill Cosby, you wouldn't think that he would be in this position himself, the way he talked about Bill Cosby. And it's like you just like him, except for you basically did it with this young lady or with other women, I mean, unwillingly or unknowingly. It's, to me, I think...
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We're going to say that, allegedly. But there is court documents to say that he was charged.
Yeah, he was charged. It actually happened.
He did plead guilty to a lesser crime. So, I mean, the alleged part is only to say that we don't know if he did it or not. But he did do something. He was guilty of something at that time. And like we were talking about, he basically, there was no closure in it. Like we said, her mother basically tried to protect her. So the case was dissolved back in 2001, and it's like she's coming back now saying, I didn't get any closure. She was traumatized by the situation. She said she's still dealing with this even now, and just to see him flourish and rise, she said, I just want to let people know how he is. He is a liar. So that's her, from her own mouth, with her own words.
I think it's some of the remnants of the Me Too. I mean, I say remnants, but I think that actual movement is giving a lot of women the courage to come out and say, hey, you know what? There's something in my past that I need to address, and I shouldn't bear this weight and all of the trauma that goes along with this, with the person out here living their best life and doing everything they can do. And I do find it ironic that someone such as a Charlamagne or anyone in the public eye that has a platform to address other people's wrongs.
Right.
Like he does that on a daily basis, where he calls out other people's wrongs and things that, you know, shouldn't be, and gives his opinion so vehemently on everything else. So I guess this is fair game. I again don't know, can't prove anything that happened. This is all alleged charges stemming from something that's documented by the courts. And she was examined in a hospital, and they verified that she had been sexually assaulted. We don't know if there was a rape kit or anything like that involved. And as of yet, I don't think any district attorney in South Carolina or something has made a statement about whether or not they're reopening.
Right, not that I know of. So. But we will see. And the question that we had posed earlier in the show was, should he be fired?
Yes.
Okay, there's a petition going around saying that, you know, people want Charlamagne to be fired from his position at 105.1, the Breakfast Club. I'm going to say yeah, only because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you.
Tell them why. Tell them why you're mad.
Number one, his dealings with the 15-year-old was shady. Okay? I don't know, you know, what their relationship was. According to her, she just wanted to be his friend. He wanted more than that. Now, that's according to her. But that situation in itself was kind of strange. And now, fast forwarding 17 years later, it still wasn't resolved. Like, that case basically, essentially, hadn't been tried. I mean, he pled guilty to a lesser charge, but there still wasn't any closure to that for her.
Yeah, so, I would say that. From her perspective.
From her perspective, she didn't get any closure.
Well, that's our take on it. And
that's it.
You know, please, like we said, let us know what you think, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye-bye.